Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. Today we're discussing a real-world dream watch that is both an exceptional rarity and a great candidate for daily use. That's right, I'm saying you should daily wear this Patek Philippe 5204P split seconds chronograph perpetual calendar. You can see it on our website and purchase it there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full sales listing for this everyday super watch with additional accessories included in the sale, high resolution images for your desktop, and naturally complete pricing details for this Patek Philippe 5204P split seconds chronograph perpetual calendar. Now for those keeping score, this is the 5204P-001, the initial variant that debuted in 2012. The watch replaced the well-loved but 36mm 5004. Many differences between the two watches, but we're going to start with the fit and the feel of this watch. And again, if I could just impress one fact upon you, it is that this is a watch to wear every single day. It should not be a safe queen. It should not fail to know the light of a warm sun or your office desk lamp. This is one that is durable enough to use every day with complications that are always useful and a versatile profile at only 40.2mm across the round of the case. Anyone can wear this watch even as it has a greater wrist presence than its rather petite predecessor. So 40.2mm across the round of the case, not including vintage inspired pump style pushers or the coaxial crown and rattrapant trigger. The watch on my 16cm circumference oval profile wrist wears easily. It's thinner than you might expect, as the timepiece is only 14.6mm thick with a generously sloped case flank and a somewhat concave bezel profile. It will slide underneath a dress cuff, and not just the sport jacket or the blazer, but even the dress cuff of the shirt beneath. The watch is compact across the case. From lug to lug, 46.8mm means this one can wear well on a wrist as small as, in my estimation, honestly, 13.5cm in circumference. As you can see from overhead, the watch is nowhere near approaching the edge of my rather small wrist. You can get smaller still and still wear the watch with both aesthetic panache and physical security on the wrist. All of platinum. It weighs a ton. Eyes closed, you know it's special. While this one has a display case back, it also comes with an accessory solid platinum case back. Patek Philippe not shorting you that extra 2 ounces of platinum, giving you the extra mass if you want it, and that will thin the profile of the watch even more, as the platinum case back is thinner in total than the display case back. Now the watch has that massive heft, but it's equipped with a strap and a clasp to match. As you can see, the strap is a muted matte large rectangular scale alligator leather in black with a short sheer edge. As you can see, it's not quite a traditional folded edge. It does have a little bit of sheer drop and a slight contrasting gray platinum inspired tone to the stitching. The clasp is full platinum to match. Filigree style Calatrava cross on the buckle outboard, all of high polish inboard. This is how it should be done. Every brand should give you a platinum clasp or buckle on a platinum watch. Sadly, not all do, but Patek Philippe has kept the faith with its collectors. Now the watch has a more nuanced case than you might think at first glance. Starting with the character lines, first of all, there's a distinct tripartite profile to the watch. The concave bezel pairs the visual mass, making it look visually lighter than it is. There's a pronounced flare and a sharp radius to the mid-case, as you can see in profile, and then there's a sharp masculine hard-edged conical geometry where it abuts the case back. Now you'll also note, in addition to those different character lines and contours, the lugs are more subtle than you might have thought, with a diminishing fluted profile that blends the tops to the flanks. You can see how it tapers as it approaches the end of the lug, but flares as it approaches the case band. Now also note the junction between the lug and the mid-case. As you can see, there's a sharp cleft between the two, which is extraordinary considering this is an old school soldered case, more expensive to make and tougher to make from the artisanal skill standpoint. You have to weld the lug onto the case band and then double finish them to remove all evidence of the welded joint material, so you get a seamless blending of structures that looks to have been hewn from the solid even though it was assembled from parts. Again, that's the expensive and tough way to do it, but it's the way you would imagine on a Grand Complication from Patek Philippe. Now the dial is spectacular because it's beautifully balanced and easy to read. Beautifully balanced in that if you look top to bottom, the radial date and the crescent-style moon phase inverted balance out the day and the month apertures at 12. You have constant seconds at 9 o'clock, and then you have a minute indicator at 3 o'clock. Framing the crescent-style moon phase, you have a day-night indicator aperture, and even look at that, it's stepped down and sloped rather than simply being a hole drilled through. There's a visual transition to the AM/PM indicator, or I should say day-night indicator, and likewise for the flanking leap year cycle indicator on the other side. The apertures for the day and the month also tapered. There's a gradual slope down from the plane of the dial to the high contrast discs of the calendar. All of the indices, as well as the hands at center, are blackened white gold for a high contrast with a traditional railroad-style minutes and seconds track outboard and a beautifully made counterweighted Lancet chronograph seconds hand. Yes, this is a split-second chronograph, so supremely practical for those of you who are timing the kids' track meet. Whether junior is gaining or losing, you'll know. Cheer all the same, because you're able to split 2 times over a fixed distance. For instance, you can have those 2 runners on the track. One crosses the line. Take note when the other crosses the line. And now you have their splits. Or you continue timing the events, return the 2 seconds hand together, and find out again whether 2 race cars around a track are drawing apart or nearer, or even 2 cars around a NASCAR track if you're old school. I mean, let's face it, Hillbilly Royale, that happens. Or any instance when you have 2 concurrent events. Now, I should also mention the dial is robustly loomed. There is a ton of luminova on these indices as well as the hands. So not only is it visible at night or in low light, but it is phenomenally visible. Moreover, it's an elegant and handsome and warm dial, as the opaline, that's Patek Philippe speak for a muted metallic grain. It has a very slight granular pebble-like texture to it that appears slightly off-white, almost a little bit vanilla tinged, so it isn't as hard and antiseptic and institutional as a pure metallic silver would be. It glows softly in direct light, and again, it has a little bit of an underlying color. Note there is a distinction between this and the 5004 that you can spot at a moment. Just a single glance, you note the flanking day-night and leap year cycle indicators and the inverted crescent moon phase. On the 5004, that would have been at the top of its register rather than at the bottom. Now, I will say, you can feel and hear the interaction of the levers and horns and column wheel of the chronograph. Let's turn it over and see how it's powered. Again, let me just give you an idea of the finish. This is a forest of fine machinery, all immaculately executed, but when you turn it through the light like this, you can see how much of it goes completely dark. Finished to the highest optical standard. This is black polish, and this is why it's called black polish or poly noir. You'll also note the capped column wheel, Geneva style. Why is it capped? 2 reasons. It's part of the aesthetic standards of the Geneva seal, but it also has its roots in shock resistance and systems created for early chronographs to prevent the levers and horns from popping up over the columns of the wheel in conditions of high impact or vibration. So it has both aesthetic and mechanical engineering intent. Now, the watch features an instantaneous minute jumper with a separate little rack and snail apparatus just under my finger. We'll keep an eye on that seconds hand as it plies its way around the dial, but also take note that this is a free-sprung balance with a traditional Breguet overcoil, so vibration resistant and highly precise, taking regulation and retaining it robustly. That's Gyromax, a Patek Philippe mechanical engineering tradition since the early 50s. And then it features the overcoil for concentric beating that is resistant to positional deviation. Now watch the minute jumper apparatus spring into action just below my thumb. Just like that. There's always something going on this case back. Now again, the overcoil gives you some of the same effect that was originally claimed for tourbillon pocket watches, in that it promotes concentric beating of the hairspring and avoids undue variation in different positions with respect to gravity. Now it beats away at 4 Hz, 28,800 vibrations per hour, compared to the 5004, which had a 48-hour power reserve. This one has 65 hours, and I should mention, unlike almost all historic Patek movements. This one features hacking seconds, so you can actually pull the crown and stop the balance to synchronize precisely to a reference time. The watch is immense in its finish, immense in its engineering. 496 parts. This is an application piece. You apply to Patek Philippe to get permission to spend your money with them. Is it worth the wait? Is it worth jumping through the hoops? Yes, it is. But above all, get your money's worth. This is a watch that's built for daily durability, daily wear, a versatile size, the most practical of complications in the complete calendar, the king of complications in the split-second chronograph. If you're going to take that path beyond, if you're going to make the great leap up to a watch of this stature and price, don't short yourself. Wear it every day. See it and own it on our website.